But hello, everybody, and welcome to a freewheeling, Rootin' Tootin' Memorial Day Dice Populi extravaganza. Hello, my name is Colin, and my voice is departing my body. I'm joined by two other stars of the podcast. If you wouldn't mind saying who's here.
Hi, I'm Mull.
Beep, beep.
Or Chowder, whichever you prefer. And I'm full of junk food.
Yo, same.
Hello, I am Ryan, or Ryan, whichever you prefer.
I'll get back to you on that. So, this fifth Wednesday, fast approaching because it was only 2 months since the last one, we didn't really have anything ready. I have a bonus thing that Chowder and I recorded literally over the summer that I just I did not have the time to get to.
Over the last summer, should be noted.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Not the coming summer, the one that happened last year. But I mean, as you can tell by my voice, I am not particularly well at the moment. So we didn't really have a whole lot of time to put together something big and fancy. So Ryan suggested we do a little state of the pod.
Do a little fireside chat. It's like 9 o'clock your guys' time. It's 8 o'clock my time.
It's nice.
If I was smarter and more prepared and probably a little less sick myself, I would have like maybe a nice little cocktail with me right now.
Yeah.
I don't have a robe. I do have a wizard's hat that I could put on, but it doesn't fit when I have my headphones on. So just imagine
for attire. I have worn, I'm wearing a t-shirt that I've been sweating into through my various naps today.
Your fairy how many times you napping, son?
I'm sick. I napped a couple times. I napped at least twice today.
Don't you know that not sleeping, not drinking, and not eating are the proper way to overcome any illness?
So I think that's part of what happened is we recorded 2 episodes of our podcasts on Thursday. And Friday, there was a new dungeon release in Destiny, and I do guides for those things now because now I make some money off of them. So I had planned to have like a really rough 48 hours of losing sleep. And lo and behold, as that 48 hours began, I got sick. So I think that's probably why this has such a long tail. I don't know. Chowder, how are you? You don't seem sick. How are you doing?
Pretty okay. I mean, nothing good happening, nothing bad happening, just in the middle. I mean, I guess I'm gonna kick out of Tears of the Kingdom, so that's fun. That's been fun.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is great.
I'm getting a kick out of Tears of the Kingdom in that my partner Rebecca, she has recently lost her job. It's not an immediate concern. Like, we're fine. But like, I got her this game, and now she doesn't have to work. So this game is now her job. It's absurd.
That's a good job to have.
It's absurd how much
you need to listen. You should set up a Twitch account, and you should like, let's go. Set up a Twitch account. Start streaming.
Yeah. Hi, Rebecca.
I've definitely fucked up my sleep for this game.
What are you saying there?
I say this game is now your job.
Why do you look so guilty?
Because you busted in the middle of a recording. This is being recorded.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Rebecca.
I mean, it's fine, but it's just about respecting the time of the other people on the call. You can yell at me later if you want to, but
no. She can respect my time by yelling at you on
it's the weekend.
Right now.
Doesn't count.
Rebecca, I love you, and I think you're doing such a wonderful job at the game. Thanks for the middle finger. All right,
yell at him more.
She had a big.
Yeah, can she hear us?
She could not. No.
Oh, that's rough. Because you know what? Bring her in. She could be the fourth on this podcast.
So I think it is a good time to chat about state of the show and have a conversation about where we are in Dicey Waters and what's coming up. And this is not coming from anywhere in particular. It's just that we haven't really had those conversations lately, privately or publicly.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to get a sense of what's going on. We've had a few instances of us putting out some shit I'm really proud of. We've also had some instances of us like not following up on stuff. And I think it's worth talking about where we are with the show, what we're doing, and what we want to do with it. And like I said, freewheeling. We talked for 7 minutes before syncing up, so like I'm sure we'll go off the fucking rails.
I'm gonna make I'm just gonna put it out there. I think we should do the state of the pod, but we should also do a lot of bullshitting and talking.
I'm fine with that.
that way. Turn off the recording. Everybody shut it down. Just me, Chowder.
Okay, pause.
We're just gonna pause the recording, and that way people can build like a parasocial relationship with us. No, this is a joke, Chowder, but you can continue to keep on recording. But then people can build like a parasocial relationship with us, and then maybe, just maybe, we could like send out an email being like, "Hey, I'm in dire straits. I need like $5,000. Can you help me?"
Hey, okay. Do you think? And then we could maybe start up individual OnlyFans for everyone on here, but not for like porn stuff, but just for like, hey, you can pay $5.
Speak for yourself. I'm doing all the porn stuff.
I'm okay with doing feet stuff. So
so we have Ryan's feet, Chowder's porn. Colin is going to be very conservative lewds with his cats.
I don't like that.
Colin, that was the worst of them all.
That's why they're separate accounts.
You say lewds with your cats. I was just like, I don't want this anymore. Should I quit the podcast?
Yeah.
All right.
No,
you know what? We'll talk about this later. Back up. Or we're recording again.
You killed the mood. I don't feel like doing porn stuff anymore.
So I mean, I should say this: whenever someone says something like this off the rip, it kind of sounds like, it's the end of the show. That's not what we're saying at all. Everyone here seems fully on board with going through Dicey Waters and following it up with something else. I think what's worth noting is Dicey Waters is almost 4 years old.
Yeah.
And we haven't really done much to change.
Yeah.
Another 2 years. Another 2 years, and it can drink in Wisconsin.
You only need to be 6 to drink in Wisconsin?
No, that's a joke. There's a funny thing. I'm not from Wisconsin, but I have friends from Wisconsin. You can drink at a bar with your family when you turn 18. I think before you turn 18, and then when you turn 18, you would lose the ability to drink at a bar until you're 21. That's a fun
loophole.
Because your parents can give you permission to drink.
That's so weird.
Wisconsin's like the France of America.
That's a very funny sentence. So no, we're fully committed to seeing Dicey Waters through, and if anything, we're trying to dial it in because we've always had problems with like, hey, I have a plan for how long this adventure is going to be. It ends up being longer.
Yeah.
I will say that the Arianor thing only took 2 episodes longer than I planned. The Arianor thing I kept pretty tight.
Yeah, no,
that was fine.
I remember when we were doing Meant to Be, and it was going on for a while, and like eventually got to a point where Meant to Be was like alone was as long as the rest of the podcast or something like that. I remember saying something like that.
The New Age is now there. The thing is, the New Age.
Oh yeah, the New Age has surpassed that. I think
it is to the point where like the phrase "the New Age" has sort of lost some of its meaning. But I mean, like initially, I thought it would take you 2 episodes to get out of Nar Enial. It took 5. I thought it would take 1 episode to get to Arianor. You guys took 5 episodes at the Black Tide, and that's fine because the plan was like, I give you a map. Here you go, Breath of the Wild. Play your fucking or Wind Waker, I guess more appropriately. Play your fucking game, and there's shit to do. And now Matt was like, I always had the idea to hand it off to you guys, but I could never figure out how to structure it. And then Matt came to me and straight up said, Colin, let's get other people DMing. I'm like, here you go. Fucking take it, please. Somebody else take it.
Somebody take the wheel from me, please.
Yeah. The idea I shot you. I actually would like to do that at some point if like we have the ability to get it in, but yeah.
I mean, I mean, spoiler alert, we do have at least one more DM shift coming up. I'm not going to say when, who, or how, but there is going to be a DM shift after this whole Zula Ragnar thing resolves, however it will resolve. And I
wonder what it could be.
It is my goal.
Question mark.
It is my goal to try to get us to, because I think and at this point, if you guys have any thoughts on like the state of Dicey Waters, feel free to cut me off. But like, each person kind of built up their own little piece of mythology in the Badlands. And my goal with the New Age was not just to like drive you guys to a conclusion, but it was also to like create a consistent framework in which all these things can exist. fit. Like I have an understanding of how the time stuff works. I have an understanding of like where everybody comes from.
I am still so confused by the time stuff. I lived through it, technically speaking, and I still have no idea how everything works.
I mean, like, I'm not saying the minutia of every time anomaly is something accounted for, but like in the mythology, there are forces at play that I have like accounted for, and I think like. You each have come to me with different things about what you want for your characters, and I'm not like guaranteeing those things. I just try to like build a foundation where you can try to work towards it, but you're gonna have to make some decisions. And it turns out that's how you get really, really long adventures. So I need to dial it in.
Yeah, regardless of if it's going longer than intended or not, we are still like wrapping up Dicey Water, and I guess like the thing we should be talking about is like, well, what we'd want to do afterwards, like.
I
mean, I feel like
many things.
We had an idea that we had been like, this Dicey Water thing isn't going to last more than like 2 years. So we started working on something 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we've gone back and forth on it, and like the bones of it are still there in like a Google Doc, but honestly we have all changed substantially since then. The world has changed. More games have come out. We figured out more things about ourselves, like, and now like I almost feel like we need to like maybe start something fresh, or like if we're going to like work on that, it has to be like completely redone.
I mean, like here's the thing, I've actually like brainstormed like ideas for like, because like I was aware of the thing you guys were talking about too, and in my own time I just like think about it, and like I was brainstorming ideas for like the world, and also just the kind of character I would play in that setting. So when you have that conversation,
I know Pat in particular is very attached to the idea he had for it, but like, so in terms of like format, the thing about this whole podcast structure is that we do not make money off of it because we're not that big. We don't have sponsors. We get some money from the Patreon, and everyone who contributes like those $2, maybe $5 still, if you're keeping that going on Patreon. We have at least one tenner in there. It's like that literally pays the bills so that we can host it, and it's not coming out of my pocket anymore. Like that is tremendous. And then we throw a % of that to charity, and that's like all we have the scrap for. Over last summer, I like made a dedicated effort to like.
I feel like with sponsors, we're gonna have to like if we decide to do sponsors, we'd have to like seek it out.
This is a beggars can't be choosers kind of situation, Chowder. Let me be frank about that. We do not have the opportunity.
No, I'm saying like we gotta like seek it out. Like go to a potential sponsor and be like, hey, want us to sponsor you, instead of wait for someone to try to contact us.
Listen, you're forcing me to choose between beg for a sponsorship or sell cat photos, and I'm very uncomfortable with the proposition.
So like I know I feel that because I have to do that for like it's very like sometimes people reach out to me to like do stuff on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, but I usually have to like excuse me, I usually have to hunt people down and try and like give me stuff, give me money, like I'll do a giveaway for you, but you gotta pay me. So I have to like search people out. I usually try to go for things that I like already use and try to create relationships, but even then like people are busy and they don't always get back to you.
It's tough, but like and
not a lot of money, I will say that. Not a lot of money in that gig.
Yeah. So I've been doing some back last summer. On one hand, I was like, I want to double down on the Patreon. I started last year. I made a bunch of behind the scenes. I made a bunch of bonus things. I made some animations, put out bonus episodes, and I was really like, let me commit to the Patreon. But we just kind of don't have the scope of listener base where like the small % of people were joining up to make it worth it. Like all that effort did not yield any extra patrons. So there were some fears when we consolidated our stuff down to a $2 tier only that we were shutting down. And really what motivated that was like, we kind of don't have the time and the muscle to build out a Patreon operation right now. So let's just do what works and keep the lights on.
True.
So, I mean, the thing that Chowder and I recorded last summer, that was going to be a Patreon bonus, but then we sort of shifted, and now I'm gonna end up putting that out as a bonus episode when I have the time. But yeah, no, like Ryan, your D&D shit online has popped off. I now have a few clients and am making decent money doing video and podcast editing for other folks, and it's just like the amount of overhead it takes to crank out one of these podcast recordings. If this was something that was like this was the full-time job, that's fine. We could probably do this weekly, but I mean, for 5 people, we need a lot of money for that to be the thing. So I agree, like looking to start fresh beyond just the scope of the fantasy of Dicey Waters, which I love that we've made such a coherent world. Like we built a fantasy setting that I think works. It's not fully built out, but it works. And I think it's interesting and varied and alive. But even beyond that, I'm like, does the future of Dice Populi look like this fully produced podcast? Does it look like a Twitch stream? Does it look like a smaller group of rotating stuff? Like, I don't know what's going to make the most sense. But yeah, I'm like, I just sit and think about the other idea we came up with. Should we just say what it is, or should we keep that secret?
What, the next project?
What we initially had set as a second campaign before we got lost in the sauce. I think we should talk about
that. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
so it was going to be called...
It was getting weird to like dance around saying the name of it and being like...
Yeah.
So let's just say it.
Ryan, why don't you hit us with the idea?
Yeah, so it was going to be called Miami Dice. It was going to be a retro 80s themed, kind of like a Vice City... but in the future, so it was going to be, we were thinking, so we had Cyberpunk was on the thing, was a possibility.
Yeah, we couldn't agree on a system. I threw out Cyberpunk Red. You threw out Starfinder.
Honestly,
I think Shadowrun was on the list.
Yeah, Shadowrun was on the list, but I think Cyberpunk would work best for it, but that's just me.
Yeah, I guess it depends. If we want to be like, if we just want like realism, if we want to be like, we're gonna do realistic realism, or we're gonna like, we still want that little bit of magic, with the possibility of magic and like kooky coincidences. Yeah, my biggest issue with Starfinder as a pitch just remains for this that it is like so fantasy, and I mean, generally speaking, this is totally my personal taste as a consumer of fiction. I don't like high fantasy very much, with Tolkien sort of being the major exception. Well, so I mean, you can trim that. So, I mean, you can theme, like we can create a theme and a story in a world that's low fantasy. And like we can talk amongst ourselves and create a world that's like, magic is extremely rare, but it's weird and it's still out there.
Honestly,
so, I mean, as long as we're internally consistent.
Being a Final Fantasy fan, I love settings where like science and science and magic are like intertwined,
like intertwined,
and the narrative concept of this was like basically sort of like a resource rich planet, but is predominantly ocean, or like I don't know, like a way station or something, and it's just like this one city on a hill in an ocean with an orbital elevator. And it's just like everybody is going through an orbit for commerce, and it would take place in this city down below, which is just like a scuzz hole.
Yeah,
with
it's honestly not
huge
like
classes.
It's not too dissimilar from something like Night City.
Yeah,
it was basically Night City, but like, what if we made it an island and put it even more in the future? So there is a
I didn't know that detail. Like, when I had in my mind like, my idea for the setting was like, so Rome didn't like fall all at once. Like it actually and really it never actually officially fell in a sense. It broke into like multiple city into East and West Rome. One of them what we would know as Byzantium,
until Ronald Reagan came over in 1989 and had them tear the wall down.
And East and West Rome are like, okay, there's too much value in being Rome, but we don't want to officially be two separate nations. But at the same time, we have these differences that we can't get over. So let's just, on paper, still be Rome, but agree to just operate like two different nations.
I mean,
and
that narratively does sort of fit into this. That because we didn't bake it out that much. that idea could still work either within the city or between the city and the station and the orbit. And who knows?
And my idea was actually the same thing happens with the USA, where in the cyberpunk future, America still exists, quote unquote, but it's more accurate to say it's 5 nations that are just neighbors that are really angrily.
What if I told you?
Really angrily eyeing
What if
each
I
other?
told you that today, that the United States was like that, but with 50 individual nations that are always angry at each other?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You can actually take those 50 states and divide them up by their culture, and you get approximately minus Alaska and Hawaii, you get approximately 5 different cultures.
Yeah. In the north, you have Big Oofta. In the south, you have... I mean, Ryan, you're a southerner. No, you're in D.C. Wait, did you... No, wait. Where are you right now?
I'm currently in Texas.
You're currently in Texas. How long were you in West Virginia or whatever recently?
West Virginia?
I don't know. I'm delirious insane.
Yeah. So I went to DC for 2 days, a couple of days, last week, for business. But I used to live in DC for 10 years, and hopefully we'll be living again there relatively soon.
Okay, that's what. Okay, you had spoken about it, and perhaps I jumped to the proverbial
DC,
gun.
the West Virginia, of the East Coast. I guess I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty close. There's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm too tired to find it. But basically, we've had so many sprawling conversations about where to go after Dicey Waters, and that doesn't even address format of the show, because I will tell you this, and it's. I find myself in this position a lot where everybody in the group has a lofty goal, and when it comes to execution, I'm staring down the barrel of all the work that an execution entails, and I'm often like, okay, so how are we going to get this done in a way that doesn't involve just piling up my workload?
Yeah.
And to be honest, I would very much like to dial back that workload, but given that we don't make money off this, really, it becomes an interesting proposition to figure out what the heck we're going to do.
It's a labor of love, I will say that.
It really
ironically, if we want to expand, we have to get more ambitious. But in order to get more ambitious, we need more muscle. We need to... So it's a weird catch-22.
I do think it might be a good idea. And I mean, this is on the line. It would be a good idea to expand out the number of people in, I don't know necessarily the podcast, but maybe we could call it the organization, because then we could maybe pop up another show underneath the umbrella. We can get some more people that are okay at editing, or okay with editing their own story. I do think there is, if we were to get start or merging with a pre-existing collective of people that already do it, and then we could kind of share resources and time, that might be good. So it'll take a little off our plate. We could then also work on other projects and kind of bring people underneath our umbrella. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. Synergy.
Well, broadly speaking, I agree. And that has long been my ambition, stymied by the lack of funds to pay people to do those things.
Yeah, that's the thing, because we're just not at that stage that we can afford to pay people. But maybe if there's...
And 4 years in, I've kind of accepted that that's not a stage that we're going to hit with this particular approach.
I'm not even saying necessarily pay, but maybe we can help. Hey, are you interested in starting a podcast? We can't pay you, but we can maybe help get you set up.
We'll pay you an experience.
Well, it's not even that. Just if you want a podcast, you want a chance to create a podcast, you can come in with us. We'll help you find people. We'll help you find an audience, such that it is, and help promote it from our platform and stuff like that. And then, depending how things go, we can support each other and work with each other and do crossover events, that sort of thing is what I'm thinking.
I mean, the only thing stopping us is the time put in.
The time,
I will say,
and effort.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'll say for me, I don't honestly know if anybody, including Matt, knows how much time and effort goes into the work I do on an episode of the show. Even Pat's edits are fairly stripped back for entrenched. I've given him essentially a lighter set of tools compared to what I use. to get some stuff done that he cranks out.
Yeah.
And so like every time that someone's like Ryan, you have a well articulated idea, and I'm like, but who's gonna pull the trigger?
Well, no, that's
like,
what I'm saying.
Get it done?
So that you wouldn't have to edit these things. We could set them up, see if we can find an editor for them.
Oh, I mean, like who's gonna like reach out? Who's gonna set that up? Who's gonna facilitate those conversations?
That is
like,
true.
That's always, and I mean that's the difficulty.
That is always the tricky bit.
Me pushing back with this is never me saying no. I love. Every time you guys step up with an idea or a project, like Ryan, you were like, I'm going to do a series of interview episodes and I'm going to edit them myself. And you knocked it out of the fucking park. Like,
still got to do Chowder, I think, right? Chowder, I still have to interview you.
Right. The interview was between me and Colin, not between me and Ryan.
Oh, yeah, we did a Q&A, but we never did it between two rolls with Chowder. Hey, that's an easy next 5W episode.
Yeah, that's true. I completely spaced on that because I was like, oh, yeah, we definitely got to do that like 3 months ago.
Like
that's kind of the story of it, isn't it?
Like, I was like, did I do it between two rolls? I remember doing an interview. I don't recall, but now that we're saying this, it's like, oh, yeah, never did one.
Yeah.
Just had
I'm
a
just
Q&A.
thinking about it now, the mention of it.
Yeah, no, and it's just that's what these conversations always boil down to. So having a state of the pod like this is like, if going forward, I will say that personally, I really want to, unless we can make this a profitable venture, I probably want to make this something that has less overhead. So the idea of a live stream version of Dice Populi comes to mind, which I don't know how much traction that would have necessarily because I'm not super plugged into that space. So this is my ramble now.
I'm going to tell you the live stream probably would be, we would not have, even considering that we don't necessarily have like a galactic reach currently, it would definitely lessen our reach. There are so many live streams right now.
That's kind of what I was wondering, is like saturation.
There's a reason why a lot of live streams also have a podcast where they release all the audio on, because podcasts make more sense because you can listen to them at your leisure.
Yeah.
Also,
go ahead. Yeah.
We're not a group of actors like Critical Role.
Oh, speak for yourself. I get into it. I get into it.
Oh, please.
I get into it. I'll wear my wig and put my little hat on.
Yeah, no, have you heard my bottle brew? I am a chameleon.
Or maybe I'm just insecure because, like, here's the thing. I'm actually working on, like, some stickers for Dice Populi. I haven't shown you guys anything because I'm insecure. But it's like, someone brought up, hey, do you guys do stickers? And we're like, yeah, we do. But we should do more. And I'm like, I have some ideas. Yeah. And that wasn't a joke. I do have some ideas. I just always feel weird being like, I always feel weird being like, hey guys, I'm doing stuff. Where is it? I'll get back to you on because it's like it's like I don't want to make promises I can't keep, but at the same time, I don't know.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, on a confidence thing, like I can't totally speak to that in the moment. Obviously, I try to support you guys where I can. But when it comes to something like this, there's a point where you just have to say fuck it and pull the trigger, regardless. And it's hard to get to that point. But, I mean, I've sort of been under that gun since we were like, all right, bi-weekly podcast. And we've had episodes that don't go up right away because of, like, technical issues. But we haven't missed a single episode in 4 years. Like, I've never been like, I don't have an episode done in time. That's never come up. And everybody here, like, that's also thanks to you guys. Like, hey, we're just getting back from holiday, and, like, Rebecca's in the hospital and Pat's flying, but we still have to get an episode, like, this week. And, like, everybody always manages. Like, everyone commits to that. So, like, we can keep that going. And I'm just, I scratch my head thinking about what we want to do next to make it more sustainable, because we are all just busier. But I love this. I want Dicey Waters to be a complete body of work, and I kind of want to keep doing it. But yeah, it's these are the thoughts and questions.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Maybe one day we'll find like an angel investor for Dice Populi. Maybe one of our listeners. listening right now,
or at the very least,
listening right now,
has a sugar daddy.
Is Elon Musk, and he's going to take time from ruining Twitter and being generally a terrible person, and be like, hey guys, I'm Elon Musk. My dad owned an emerald mine, and I would like to give you all some of those emeralds so you can make more podcasts.
Hey guys,
you never know.
You want money made from slave labor? Here you go.
Yeah, as we all know, billionaires are going to save us. So maybe they will save, and by save I mean just give us money this podcast.
Yeah. Listen, if there are any millionaires out there who are wondering, yes, I will hoe myself out for you for money. Think about it.
Think about it.
Think about it. I will say, like, another thing that, like, I haven't gotten to do is, like, more soundtracks. I haven't put out a soundtrack since Trouble in Paradise. Like, I'll tell you what I would love when Dicey Waters is over, and, like, again, if money is no object, if we're just talking what I would love to get done, I would love to, like, make a book for this thing. We have so much shit written out, it would be an effort, but, like, to collate all that stuff and make them chapters in a thing and, like, put the map on there and make Dicey Waters a thing that you could, like, go get and run with people.
Yeah, no, that...
And then have soundtracks that you can download and play to accompany what you're doing. Like, I'm so proud of it.
Yeah,
I think that would be dope. Something that...
Although that would require me to, like, organize my notes on Meant to Be, because Meant to Be,
Correct.
It is, like, a bunch of papers in a weird order that only makes sense to me. It is...
Yeah. Making things readable by others is incredibly hard. Like, taking mind bits. Because, like, I published an adventure recently for Into the Odd, which is a very much scaled back from 5e. Like, it's not... Like, and it honestly took a lot of my brain power and took about a month to do. But I remember trying to format stuff for 5e, and, like, there's a whole style guide to 5e.
Yep.
Like, you have to, there's a certain, like, layout thing you have to do, and, like, it's a lot of work to take up. Like, and honestly, at this point, a lot of my stuff is bullet points. To take bullet points and come up with book.
I will say this, my stuff is probably not going to be hard to translate because I do everything. I do everything on my computers. Everything is, like, in a labeled thing. It's not all organized in, like, a single thing. But every time I write something out, there's, like, an outline with chapter markers. And each chapter has, like, a description, fail states, map. Like, everything points to something else. And I'm just always like, oh, man, it'd be great to just turn this into an adventure. But then whenever I run with someone else, I'm like, oh, this is not the way most people organize their thoughts. This is half the effort would be figuring out how everyone does their own shit and try to figure a way to, like, okay, how do we first of all get these 5 people speaking the same goddamn language?
That's why. So I like was it New School Rebellion and Old School Renaissance? They're kind of interchangeable, OSR and NSR. Into the Odd is NSR, I think, but it's kind of OSR. I don't know. It's you put your, like, line in the sand for whatever it means, but a lot, it, like, kind of gels with my current stuff, because when you get some of these adventures, some of them are just like, here's a room, here's 3 bullet points about this room, here's the next room, like, here's the cardinal directions of other rooms, here's a map. So, like, that was like,
I like stuff like that.
That was so much more excuse me, that was so much easier to get into, and it already kind of, like, fit with my style. And even then, it still took a lot of work to get things how I wanted it to look. I made my own art for it. It's intense.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's big. I feel that. It's I don't know that we'll ever have that, but, like, that's my dream, is even if Dicey Waters, it ends up being, like, the apex of Dice Populi and we can't figure out what we want to do next, like, I am so committed to making sure that we end this and make sure that it ends well. And I really want this to be a complete thing, and cherry on top would be if we could ever, like, my mind went to Arrested Development, how they came out with season 4, and everyone was like, you guys sort of missed the mark on season 4. So then, like, 5 years later, they did a re-edit of season 4 that was basically just Ron Howard and the showrunner or editor literally just chopping it up by hand, like not getting a team of people to do it. I think like it was literally just them being like, all right, give me 5 years and I'll give you something presentable. Like, I feel like there's a chance that that'll happen. It'll be like 5 years behind the scenes of like, all right, Ryan, it's time for you to break down the writings, the scrawlings.
The scrawl.
It came in the night, so that my mortal mind can comprehend them. But yeah, it's one of those many questions about like how do we execute on it?
How do we execute? How do we execute Order 66?
66. I have been playing Jedi Survivor, and it's pretty good. Pretty fun.
Step one is to murder children, so let's find a kid.
Yeah, evidently younglings gotta go.
Well, we flipped that, and we had the children murder everyone else in Dicey Waters.
Children. We had child. We had child murder. So I'm excited. I am excited. So I was just going to talk about how much I'm going to traumatize Matt/May.
I mean, we could do a pickup interview after the fact. I'm cool putting spoilers and then just like saying, but if you don't want to, that's fine.
No, I don't want to spoil the surprise.
Yeah. But I mean, we also, Matt doing the whole Seafoam Glow thing, I think really it is nice to take a step back after just sort of like freewheeling the DM situation, trying to get you guys to Arianor. Arianor was pretty tightly planned, but
I did feel bad for Matt during the Seafoam Glow, just because I think I don't know where we went wrong, but I think he planned for a level of shenanigans that I guess was lesser than what we were prepared for.
To be fair,
I felt bad for that.
Like, I wanted to pull Ocean's 11, but the problem is I didn't know what we needed to steal.
So and maybe you guys can enlighten me on this, because this is going into the new age. Something so liberating about planning it and making it so broad in scope was saying, okay, for every decision I want them to make, I need to plan for the exact opposite.
Oh, no.
Just to sort of, just to cover my base. Because I'll tell you this.
That's where you went wrong. Tell you this. Planning is where you've gone wrong.
But that's kind of, by planning, I don't even mean writing it down. I mean, like, okay, so I need them to get out of Nar-Enial. But what if they don't want to leave? Okay.
What do if never want leave?
And I mean, this is no knock at Matt. I have a feeling that, because I'll tell you this, the whole Seafoam Glow thing came together pretty fucking quickly. I have to imagine he had his idea sketched out and then he just rolled with it without taking the time to consider what do if we don't do what he wants to do.
And I think we just hit it with a certain energy right out the gate. And it was a weird energy day, and I think we were all just rolling with it. And I just felt so bad for Matt, because it was really on us, because we were just like not, I think collectively just not taking the cues that he was putting down.
I don't know. When I'm DMing in this group, I sometimes get not like explicit pushback from you guys, but like I'm always like, unless you guys explicitly say something, I don't like to assume it. And if I'm going to assume action on your part, I express it so you have a chance to like say, no, I wouldn't do that. And so like, sometimes I'll be like, we'll be sitting in silence and you guys will be like, what are we doing? And I'm like, well, do you go through the door? And you're like, yeah, Colin, we go through the fucking door. What's your problem? And I feel like there was kind of like an opposite thing happening with Matt, where he was like assuming we were going to go in specific directions, and then we just kind of sat there like, okay, well, what do you want us to do?
Yeah, it happens.
Which is like, again, not a criticism of anything, and I think he handled it well, and I like the way it's resolved, and people here will find out soon how it's going to resolve. But like, I am always thinking about, like, a fun fact, getting out of Nar-Enial, I was planning to kill Bottle Brew. Bottle Brew was going to die on the SETI Alpha, and then you guys saved his ass, and I'm like, okay, I guess that's going to punt the Dennis reveal a little further down the road and shit like that. But like, I don't know. I'm so surprised that we don't go into every adventure expecting it to be broken immediately.
That's the thing. I think you have to be very zen with it. This is my personal advice, and I learned a great deal from Josh.
Yeah.
And even though there was maybe some points in Josh's adventure where like I didn't I understand in hindsight, but I did not understand in the moment, because I was like, because I didn't realize that he was basically like, this is my out. So I was like, why the hell is he fighting so hard to stay dead?
Yeah.
So but I learned a lot, just like bullet points, come up with a situation. Everything flow, have zero expectations for how things are going to go, and just let things flow. I think I do have to contend with that a little bit with like Entrenched, because there is a grand overarching like Pepe Sylvia type of thing in the background of Entrenched that I don't know if anybody's picked up on.
I don't think so. I do not think that we have the full vision of your world.
Just like conspiracy theory stuff. There is like a lot of like, I mean, it starts to pop in more, I think, as we'll go on. Like, we're in the very beginning of the conspiracy. Like, we're basically on just getting into chapter 2 of like a 15-page or 15 chapter thing that I have written. So I do have to contend with that a little bit, but like having this narrative structure where I want all these things to kind of intertwine, but also giving you all like doing bullet point stuff. So it is difficult.
Yeah. I think that for me, the individual adventure I'm going to end up being most proud of is the Arianor thing, just because it was that I took that idea to the max, because I had like a loose, I didn't even draw it out. I had a loose map of the island in my head from when Matt ran it. And then I just had like a series of conditions. And that's kind of it. And you guys were just bumping up against conditions. You had to learn the mechanics, which you did. And I was so blown away when you guys started to like crack all that and like piece it all together. That was so fun and so rewarding. But I didn't have like a plot. Each person had like some shit that they went through, and that's it. And then the story was just kind of you guys figuring it out. And I don't know how easy it is to recreate that, because it took a lot of effort to plan, but it wasn't scripted. It wasn't like written.
When making Meant to Be, like, you know, I had like a through line and a story, and, you know, I had things planned out, but I also understood, don't get too married to it, you know, except if shit happens. And
and I'm trying to take that approach with the broad stuff, but with the idea of trying to wrap Dicey Waters up, I am also contending with exactly what Ryan's saying. Like, there are forces at play, and I have to choose how active and passive those forces are to balance against what you guys are doing and what the individual DMs are doing. I gotta say, I do kind of love the thrill of being like, okay, Matt, here you go. You're the DM. Don't crash her, because I have to drive it tomorrow. That is a unique sort of excitement that terrifies me.
There can be a lot of fun to crash too, though. Like, as someone that's had a few adventures crash, it can be it can be fun to pick up the pieces afterwards.
So I guess sort of the biggest thing about whatever the future of Dice Populi is going to end up holding is the rotating DM thing is still a fairly unique idea in terms of having a single story that changes hands so frequently without interrupting the story. Like, I'm still not aware of anybody else that does specifically this. There are like versions of D&D that like randomly roll DMs, but like I still feel like we've got something unique. And Entrenched is thoroughly Ryan's baby. Like, I'm not going to DM a bit of Entrenched, I don't think. I don't think that would work.
I think it could be possible to bring somebody in to do like a side adventure. The only thing is, none of you guys know Eberron enough.
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
To make it work.
Yeah, we gave ourselves carte blanche with our homebrew Badlands situation. But
and I can't just let close friend Keith Baker's baby just go into willy-nilly hands like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You've been flirting with the feet of giants over here.
I've never heard that used before.
Nobody has. That's a catch and original.
I did interview Keith Baker.
That's incredible.
What was it, like a couple months ago?
That's really fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
Why didn't you put that on Dice Populi? That could have raised our clout so hard.
I did. I talked about it on Dice Populi.
You gotta think about the brand.
Well, no. So it was a live stream on TikTok. I just happened to stumble on Keith Baker and his wife. I'm blanking on her name, and she is so nice. And I just like said hi, and they invited me on. So I started talking to them, just like chit chatting, and then before I knew it was kind of like an interview talking about Eberron and his new project.
That's so fucking cool.
It was interesting to say the least. It was wild. Weird things
if you
happen.
can get close personal friend Keith Baker involved, that would be a boon. But I mean, like, whatever we do next, I have to say, I think I am the least, and I say this every once in a while, I'm the least TTRPG savvy of this whole group. The only reason I'm at the center of so much of it is because I have the gut for like group management and planning. Like that's it. It has nothing to do with with my chops. There's an upcoming episode where I think we might do a bonus where we release the raw edit of it because my lack of D&D knowledge wasted a literal half hour of everyone's fucking time. And it was so embarrassing.
What was this one? Was this the?
I'm just loot tables. I didn't have a good knowledge of loot in D&D and the relative value of things. I think we came out with some good content, but at the cost of like a painful 30 minutes. But like, I tend to make myself so busy that like just the time to just sit and play D&D, people are like, oh yeah, I'm part of 3 games right now. I'm like, fucking how do you do this? Like,
you gotta fit it in. So I'm in a part.
That's what she said.
I GM 2 games online.
Jesus, dude.
I play in a 3rd. That's Eberron Ravenloft thing. I'm part of a Vampire the Masquerade game.
That's 4.
And I do some side stuff. I guest on not guest on like stuff, but like, we're doing a little one shot. You want to be a part of it? Like,
sure.
Yeah, I jump on that all the time. Like,
so
on
you're part
Discord
of,
or whatever.
You're on 4 regular games plus the 2 you do for Dice Pop.
Yeah.
That's nuts. This is all I have time for.
And I want to do more.
See, for me, it's video game. I am so much more into video games than I am TTRPGs. I love what TTRPGs allow me to do, but I'm not keyed into the landscape. Like you, Ryan, are just like Chowder. I know you always hit me with a lot of knowledge about specific systems, and then Ryan, you'll hit me with like a knowledge about a bajillion different systems, and I'm like, I am such a little bastard compared to these fellas. Like, what am I doing here?
Understand? I'm not playing a lot of games. I'm fantasizing about playing a lot of games. I wish I could play more.
Yeah. I that's the thing. I buy so many of these books that are like for specific types of games, and it's like, I can't wait to play this. And I have books on my shelf that have been on the shelf for like years.
I've got a Call of Cthulhu campaign running, but other than that, nothing else really. And it's like, man, I'd like to like try out Wander Home. I'd like to try out like I'd like to do more Call of Cthulhu because I really like Call of Cthulhu, man. It's very fun.
Ooh, so I recently got it's Call of Cthulhu, same sphere. This is more of an indie thing. It's called Liminal Horror, I believe.
Ooh, sounds intriguing.
It's a system. It's like a super simple bare bone system, low prep, like not a lot of rules to remember type thing. So if you just have like say you don't have like a huge quest idea involved, or you don't want to necessarily buy like adventures for like Call of Cthulhu, it hits the same niche, like scratches the same place, but it's much simpler to run from what I've heard. I just read it. It is quite simple. The whole book is 36 pages. It's like
what is
A4
liminal
format, so it's
liminal
like
horror, you said?
Liminal horror. Yes, liminal horror, I believe.
TTRPG, yes. Let's see. Liminal Horror by Goblin
it's by
Archive.
Nicholas Erickson. Yeah, so you could probably get it on itch relatively cheap, and then I bought a physical one.
Oh, it's on sale. It went from $7 to $5.60. So
yeah, if like maybe you want to do some Call of Cthulhu style stuff, but it's just a little bit too much preparation and work to get into it, and then also teaching people how to play. This might be a good option.
Yeah,
that's good to know. I have at least one friend group where I was supposed to hang out with them today, but I am sick, so I'm being responsible. Also, I nap so much that it wouldn't have worked. But like, I'm wondering if like just finding these rules light systems could be my solution. Because what always ended up happening with me is I was the forever DM, and I would always end up over preparing, and it's just the time suck of that. It's intoxicating when you get into planning something that you're really jazzed for, but I mean, just like everything else we talked about, is sometimes just hard to commit, especially when I spend so much time with my other hobbies and monetizing shit.
It can be difficult to get from a space where you like over preparation to like bullet points, just because it can be difficult to conceptualize how much you need. So sometimes it's one of those things, either you have to just try it, like I'm going to do like 4 or 5 bullet points for like just this session, 4 or 5 bullet points, or you have to play in a game that works that way, and then you like maybe do a one shot, and then you walk through it with the GM afterwards. I've done that before. Like how did you take this and make this? Like how did this work out? Because it was hard for me to conceptualize, because I am a over preparer by nature when it comes to like tabletop RPGs. And it took a while for me to get over that. Like I was planning everything out like a novel. Like I was writing a book when I first started. And
I've been there.
It takes forever, and then you end up not using it, and it's very frustrating, and then you get burned out really quickly because you're not getting any reward from like all this work. So I just had to like deconstruct it and talk to people. Josh was a great example. I talked to Josh about it a lot. Like as we were playing, like after the takes and stuff like that, be like, so what, how much of that was planned? Like, what do you have on your books right now? Because when you talked about jazz DMing, I was like, puffa, and then it worked. So I was like, okay, this is actually like, I need to get over my preconceived notions.
Yeah, Josh in particular is a powerhouse in that, like, his knowledge of D&D in particular is like, Ryan, you have a pretty astounding knowledge of this stuff. I've never met somebody else with the kind of instant recall he has for every fucking rule of the system. It is kind of astounding. And not even necessarily the recall, but the confidence. Even when he's wrong, he's like, oh yeah, it's either this or I'm wrong, but whatever, we can just do it. Like, it's just the way that he's able to grease the wheels. I also learned a lot from that. I think my thing is, though, like, I feel so safe in your guys' hands because you're all so knowledgeable, and we all have our different strengths and weaknesses. So that, like, if I throw something at the wall and nothing sticks, like, you guys are there to pick up my sloppy spaghetti. Like, it's fine.
My little skets.
Yeah. So, like, I think my fear with other games is, like, I don't want to be locked into the commitment of forever DM, but I would like to do more.
Yeah.
But I think what led me down this road was saying, like, I think in particular, out of all the Dungeons and Dragons I've done, playing in this world where we take turns and we share responsibility for the world is the version of it I have enjoyed the most. Not just because of like the excitement of building out a world and like having it react to me in a way. Like I build something and then you guys change it. Ryan builds a map and then I break it. It's like it's fun to have that interplay to me. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but like this is the production of it makes it more of a responsibility than it might be otherwise, but I really enjoy this way of playing, pretend together, which is, what this is, pretend with rules.
True dat.
Yeah,
love
nerds are just kids who just put math in their make-believe, I guess.
Yeah. So we have been going for over an hour, and this has been as freewheeling and incoherent as I think we all expected it to be.
Well, it's just a fireside chat, it's just a little, little here, there, a little everywhere.
Yeah, put on a bathrobe, have a fez on, smoke a pipe, by
the fire. You cut out for a second.
I thought you were like,
I thought you were building. Okay, that's my bad. But yeah, I think suffice it to say, we love the show. We're committing to this show. I think we're as curious as everyone else is about what we want to do next. It would always be lovely to find that angel investor to keep us off of OnlyFans, but like, I think for now, I want to keep playing games with you guys. I want to try all these things you want to try. My mind does keep coming back to the original pitch of like a TARDIS style thing where we just do different. instead of like different things in a singular system and setting, just like, all right, it's Chowder's month, Call of Cthulhu, buckle up.
We could, so
all right,
I was thinking like once this arc ends, we have a long, what is it? There's a word for it, but it's like a long period while we're figuring out the next thing. Like we get more guests on, we maybe have some guest GMs, we try some different systems, small arcs, one shots, maybe, nothing more than like maybe 5-6 things. And, we just have fun, play around, try and make some friends with new people. I think we should do that. And then from there, decide what our next step is. Like what, if maybe, who knows, we could play some Blades in the Dark or something like that. We could play somebody with somebody in Blades in the Dark, and maybe it just like captivates us. And maybe like, was it Candela Obscura, which is like Critical Role's new one, which is basically, from what I've heard, just Blades in the Dark, but with some different labeling and some different ideas mixed in.
I was going to ask you about that, yeah.
But like we could even try that.
I brought up Wanderhome before, and I would like to play as little mice going on adventure. That'd be fun.
I mean, I could reach out. So the thing, like with the small indie tabletop RPG scene as it is, like I could reach out to some of the creators of some of these systems, and then we could probably play with them. So I know, like I'm Twitter friends at least with some of these people.
Here's the thing,
I know people that make adventures.
I'm actually like mutuals with a couple too. I haven't really talked with them, but I guess this could be an icebreaker. Like, hey, we have an idea. Want to work together?
You wanna? Because like, there's one person I follow that created Karn, which liminal horror is like a astral horror version of Karn. Like I could probably reach out because he's also working on the second edition. He might want to like preview some stuff. We could, I mean, depending on timing, like we're still some time out. I'm also working on my own system right now, my own indie tabletop RPG.
That's exciting.
Which is it's heavily influenced by Spelljammer and Treasure Planet.
So here's the pitch. Here's the pitch, and it's going to sound a little familiar for those that have heard us talk about the conceptions of this podcast. After Dicey Waters, Locke becomes Ultra Dad across the continents. The two Jeddas meet up and create a Gabagool empire. Maeve becomes the statue of Alduin atop High Hrothgar. Is that how Skyrim ended? I don't remember.
I think that's how Oblivion ended.
Oh, yeah, there was a Mehrunes Dagon statue. Yeah, okay. But then Cult does like another Uge ritual and gets subsumed into some rift, and he is now one of 4 people in our original TARDIS type pitch, where basically they're bouncing between all these indie systems trying to reassemble the TTRPG multiverse. And they're visiting every individual indie system and trying to figure out something. We'll figure out the MacGuffin.
It reminds me of the show. What was it called again? Something Loop? Time Loop? No. Quantum Leap. There we go.
Quantum Leap, yeah.
Quantum Loop, the classic Scott Bakula show, Quantum Loop. Oh, wait, there's a remake of that.
Yeah, there is a remake. I don't know if it's already canceled or not. I would not be surprised.
Just that Quantum Leap where we're going to different arrows and different settings.
I mean,
yeah,
pretty much. Because on one hand, basically, yes, I love that idea. My stupid brain is trying to figure out how to turn that into something more coherent, but that might be against the point. But I want to do that with you, and I'd love to see it happen. On that note, though, I don't know if you can tell by my voice, it is time for me to stop talking, and I think it's also a good time to wrap up this conversation. I don't know if you guys have any other things that you want to get out before I shut the door on this particular fireside chat.
Is there any last little things you want to say before putting a bow on it?
I mean, is there anything that you guys want to plug that you guys are working on that you would like to share with people?
Oh, I could. So, I mean, this is going to be too late, but I have been doing charity fundraising this month for the Trevor Project. We're up to over $1,500.
That's incredible.
I'm also, like I said before, I've got an adventure out for Into the Odd called New Rats and Old Bastion. I officially released Encaged on Itch.
Oh, yeah.
And all the money from Encaged is going to go to the Trevor Project forever, I suppose. Because I haven't really set a limit on it, and I'm not doing any of this for money purposes, so I'm probably just going to keep on donating to the Chowder Project. But yeah, that's about it. And also, you know, I got a TikTok and Instagram that makes funny meme content.
I've got some personal projects I'm working on, but the thing is, I don't really like to talk about them until, like, there's something substantial to show, so I guess stay tuned for that. But
hey, that's fair, man. You do you. For anybody that does play Destiny, my own channel is making money now. So if you could watch my videos with your ad blocker off, that'd be great.
I'll watch videos, but I will not turn off my ad blocker. Is that still a thing on YouTube?
They're gonna try to block it. They're gonna try to make it so you can't watch YouTube without an ad blocker.
They're gonna try to block the ad blocker.
They're gonna try to shut that down.
You fool! You nincompoop!
Exactly. Yeah.
I've got an
who blocks
ad
the blocker?
blocker.
I can't wait to see how that devolves. But most prominently, I've been doing work for Aztecross, which is a fairly large gaming and Destiny channel on YouTube. So it's been nice to have some like steady income tied to this game I put an absurd amount of my life into. But
that's nice, yeah.
I'm also learning a lot. I'm getting some real YouTube editing crunch into my bones.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
That sounds great.
I'm on a per diem basis though, so I get to step back when I need. So
that's
it's
nice.
But my work there has been it's the videos that are about really breaking down the nerdy shit about how the guns work and stuff.
Well, what is the name of your channel so people can find it?
Well, I'm just on there. Ketch is sort of my CKETCH is sort of what I'm going by on the gaming side of things.
3.11K subscribers. I am subscribed. Yes. I've been subscribed.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to like it unless you're trying to do raids and dungeons in Destiny or Grandmasters. And if you don't know what those are, this channel is not for you.
Yeah, you might as well be speaking gobbledygook to me.
Yep. But I'm making moves in that space and it feels good. But otherwise, we're going to be back at you in a week with another episode of Dicey Waters that I am hard at work on already.
I thought you were going to say that you were hard for it. I was like, interesting.
I mean, it would be in line with the energy we start this off with, so...
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for everybody that is listening. I hope you enjoyed a more relaxed take on our behind-the-scenes stuff. I hope that my existential despair about our future wasn't a bummer, and you could instead see the hope of all the many things that we have lined up in the years to come. I said years, and that almost gave myself a heart attack. Woo! But no, I'm very excited to keep playing with you guys, and thank you both for having this conversation. Ryan, thank you for the idea. Yeah. Saved my bacon from having to go crunch out an edit I didn't want to have to do.
No worries.
I'm sure I will find an ending in there somewhere. Goodbye,
everybody.
everybody.
Ciao.
Der.